Well, it was bound to happen sooner or later. Finally, a tutorial on Stellaris Console Edition. You may have just picked this up after looking or leering at the PC users for ages, or you just popped by it in your consoles of choice store. And, well, Stellaris Console Edition is definitely a game that is on a grand scale. It is a grand strategy game indeed. But for the sake of this tutorial, we're going to be walking through some of the basic elements that are in the game, and specifically how to start things out and how to get paced and how to get going. So first of all, we're going to be selecting an empire. We're going to do something simple like the United Nations of Earth. We don't need to be doing complicated stuff here. Let's go for a standard spiral galaxy. For the sake of ease, if this is your first time playing or one of the earlier times that you're playing, let's turn advanced AIs off. Let's have max fallen empires to 2, habitable worlds. Let's make life a little bit easier. Let's set it to 1.5. AI aggressiveness, this stuff is not really all that difficult, so let's dive right in and see where we end up. Now, a little bit of paperwork here. Stellaris, as a grand strategy game, has been out for quite some time, and the version that you're seeing right here is not necessarily on the same level as the PC version, but still, hey, they started porting this about a year and a half ago, and this is the result. And yes, as long as there is demand for it, updates will be coming. So, our start screen, relatively straightforward. We have our starting species. There's a bunch of fluff text in there, etc. Who is our leader, etc. Let us begin. So first of all, we're going to need to take a look at our solar system. So we're currently starting out here in the Sol system. That is the place where Earth is. There it is, right down there. And that right there is that's a fan Earth right there. First of all, we're going to need to take a look at the UI and see what's going on. On our D-pad, we can move back and forth between these menus on the top, the bottom, and the left and the right. For our purposes, the menus on the left and the right are the most important ones. The right is the outlier, and basically it allows us to have a usual, pretty decent overview of what's going on. But the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to the outlier options and hide the outliner. That will give us more game real estate to work with on our screen. We can just hit the right button to go back there, and your cancel button to head out of it. On our left side, we have our government screen. This is where all of our government, budget, and demographics are happening. We'll get into that later. Contacts, that's for alien empires, which we definitely won't be dealing with in this episode. Situation log may be interesting later on. Research, this is an important one. We will dive in that shortly, because basically all of our planets, where our potential expansion points are. Society, these are our traditions that we slowly but steadily will unlock. Once we get to those, we will talk about those. Policies, actually kind of interesting. Considering we're at the start of the game, I'm going to not touch anything. We will get to those once we are diving into those people. They're not important right now. Ship designer is also sadly not important as of right now. Wars, Federation, and map modes. Map modes is just a different way of looking at the map by itself. Now, first things first. We are on our map here. We have canceled out all of our menus, and we need to do our very first steps. Well, first step is select ourselves some research. Very first technology to research that is a great starter is a orbital energy conversion, which allows us to build the solar panel network. Now, one thing that you're going to need to know is that these options are not guaranteed to pop up every single time. They are on a randomized system on the tech tree. So there's 5 tiers in the tech tree, and you will get a random type every single time. And it also is based on your ethics, but that is for a different episode. This is just to get you going. Buildings in general, probably not the best of ideas. We want to make sure that we get our stuff in space done first. So let's build a solar panel network here. Secondly, doctrine, naval capacity, biolab, those are building, and that's a bonus. We don't want that. We want the planetary unification, which gives us a monthly influence bonus, and we'll go over that shortly, what that actually means. And That's another 2 buildings. You never want to go buildings right off the start of the game. However, powered exoskeletons will give us a plus bonus to minerals, and that's something that we want to do. So we talked a little bit about the resources in the game on a very high level. So let's dive a little bit deeper into things. Our game basically has several resources. In this particular case, 5 of the base ones. There's energy credits that we use to pay for stuff, minerals that we use to build stuff, food that we feed our population with, influence, which allows us to expand, as well as enact certain policies. This is also why the certain technology that I just took is so important, because it gives us influence. And unity. Unity allows us to get traditions, and traditions are special modifiers that allow us to specialize our empire. Then there's our tech income in our 3 categories, as you've seen just now. The amount of planets that we can directly control, it's currently 3. Strategic resources, and our naval capacity. So, there you go. Those are effectively the basis that you will need to know and what they actually do. Now, as you can see at the bottom of the screen, you can see that the game is currently paused, and we can hit, in this particular case, considering I'm on PlayStation, we can hit the triangle button to unpause. We can hold the triangle button to speed up or slow down, depending on what we want. But right now, what we're going to do is we're going to keep the game paused. So let's go to our outliner and go to our science ship. So we select our science ship, and we immediately want to do the following. We click on our star and survey the system. This basically means that our science ship will now move around the solar system and start scanning the planets to see what's going on. So that right there is something that is rather useful. If we hit the thumbstick button, we can also do the following. We can, for instance, say, hey, there's a planet over here. Let's take a look here. We need to make sure that the science ship is selected. So we hit the square button here and then survey this system to follow up. Why do we want to survey this system, you ask? Well, there is a planet in there that we want. It's listed as green. It's a continental world, size 18. In this version of the game, you want to have the largest possible planets available. And I know there's another planet inside of Bernard Star, which is an alpine world, which could be interesting for us. But right now, even though it's size 22, could be an interesting one for later in the game, once we've done some terraforming. Yes, because that is also an option. In addition, you may think by yourself, why are we not surveying all of these other systems? Because there is a better way of going through all of this. Let's go to our military fleet, because we have one of those. We want to hit the L button, and we want to start splitting up the fleet. And what that means is we now have 3 small fleets, because we started off with 3 corvettes. So what we're going to do is, the corvettes can basically go anywhere. So we're just going to use these corvettes to scout around to see if there's any good planets nearby or systems that we want to focus on or expand into. And we can do the same thing with this other one as well. We can just send them out here, move them out here, a little bit of a loopity-loop, go down here. And this is also a good way to find alien species early on. And then we send them back as well. And finally, our last fleet, or last ship, let's put it that way. Let's queue him up here. Let's see where he can go. There's a lot of black holes nearby, actually. If this was if we had Megacorp here, I'd be dreaming because of all the joy that we could have. Then, is there a construction ship? Yes, we do. So, construction ships. A construction ship will allow us to build stations around our planets that we've got control of. Now, right now, we don't actually have any resources available that we can do anything with, so right now, we're going to cancel that. Then there's our rally points. We want to make sure that those rally points are kind of disabled, so there we go. We only want to have the first fleet as a rally point, not a planet. That means that fleets will always merge with a single ship or fleet rather than just hang out at a planet. So from a reinforcements point of view, this is rather useful. Let's go quickly to Earth. Let's see what we got. So this is the Earth. This is the planetary interface. This is what's going on the surface. We got a bunch of tiles that we could clear out potentially, but that's not something that we want to do right now. What we want to do, however, is do the following. We want to build a monument. Why do we want to build a monument? Because it generates unity, which is something that we're only generating a plus +2 of as of right now. And we want to make sure that we get more so we can get traditions faster. Because right now we get them only every 30 months. And if we have +2, then of course we only get them, actually, what's it, 30 months? Yeah, then we get them every 15 months. Now, the more traditions you pick, the more expensive they can get, yada yada. So that is definitely something you need to watch out for. Anyway, now that we've set up the game, we've got all the bases down, we're almost 10 minutes into the video, let's finally unpause, let's set the game to max, and let's see how things will unfold in front of our very eyes. Now, our science ship will definitely start moving around the solar system. We could potentially go to Earth. Let's go quickly towards the spaceport tab, and let's build ourselves another science ship. So another science ship will allow us to survey more stuff. Our other ships are currently in the process of jumping out of the system. There they go. They're just jumping in and out. So they're just on their way. There you go. They've split up nicely, and they're now going to various locations across the galaxy to find new things to find and survey. Now, there's a chance that we find ourselves some hostile space fauna, space beasts. And that's something that we need to watch out for. Now, our construction is done at Earth, so let's quickly have a look. And there is our fresh science ship. Now, this is the one that a lot of people get confused by. If you go up here in this button, there's a little, once we have our science ship selected, you need to go to Manage, then go to Recruit Leader, and then we need to recruit a leader. We can recruit a leader for 50 influence. Now, do we have any good leaders available at the moment? No, not really. But it'll have to do for now. So let's just get a leader, let's select them, and then queue up another area to survey, and then we will move on. And, ooh, it looks like our scouting has worked out because we have found ourselves another system with a planet inside of it. Let's see if we can actually see what it is. It's a size 17, a size 17 continental world and a size 22 ocean world. That's some prime real estate right there. And we definitely want to queue up a. Actually, tell you what, I'm gonna forgo with Bernard Star and just beeline it straight for this one, because this is an exceptionally good system. It's got 2 planets in it, and one of them is a continental, one of them is a ocean world, and those 2 are relatively compatible with our species, as you can see with the little green icon, and it means that we can live here quite easily. So we're going to turn this into our first colonial establishment, because as you know, it is in fact free real estate. Still though, as time is progressing slowly but steadily, we're going to need to take a look at what is going on. Let's just unpause. We got the construction going on. That's good. And there is our very first anomaly. Now, anomalies are random events that pop up in the game. Let's quickly let's quickly pause here. So anomalies are basically events in the game that spice things up. They can be positive, they can be negative, they cannot mean anything at all. They could be story related, they could give you resources, they could give you tech, they could give you new enemies. And these are completely randomly rolled from a list of about, I want to say 500 to 600 events or something along those lines. And yeah, those are all in the game for you to discover. Now, right now, we have found something in the debris field of Ceres, which is, of course, in the asteroid belt. Let's go and research that. And right now, our scientists will start researching it. Sadly, it appears that this is a level 3 anomaly, which means, well, actually, I think we should be okay. Let's take a look here. Where are you? So it's up here. Yeah, there we go. So he's surveying this here anomaly. That's rather good.
Construction complete.
And Earth has finished its surface construction queue. That's good. So that is the monument down. But yeah, right now we're just surveying this here thing. We can also select our science ship, by the way. And slowly but steadily, they will start figuring out what is going on this here rock. In the meantime, let's go to Earth, because obviously our monument is done. There it is. And our leader has gained a level, and it looks like nothing came out of the anomaly. Now, right now, there is a pop growing. A pop is, of course, a reference, is basically a illustration of our population. Right now, it's growing inside of a tile that generates energy. We don't want it there. We wanted to move it into the monument tile. So we're going to go move over there and just grab it and then drop it into the monument tile because we wanted to generate unity. Now, right now, it is not done just yet. This pop is slowly but steadily growing. Right now, it is growing at 1.0 a month, as you can see in the top right. So it's going to take about 40 months for this pop to be grown. So it's going to take a little bit of time. But still, once it's done, it's going to be generating Unity. Although, by that time, we should already have our first tradition. So that's something we want to keep an eye on. What have we got here? Yeah, so our science ship has decided to come over here and start surveying these here planets. That is the one that we wanted to see. There we go. And a little science ship. What do you got? Okay, so it's found a planet. And it's a bigly planet. It's got a lot of tile blockers on it. Those are these red circled tiles. But overall, this looks like a good science world. So that's something that is interesting for our purposes. Now, do note that we are only in the very first year of the game, and the video has already been running for 15 minutes. And, well, the game can run all the way up to 2500. Or I believe in this particular version, there is no end cap to when you could finish the game. So, basically, this can take a very, very long time. It also appears that we have found an alien species on this planet that has not developed faster-than-light travel just yet. That is very interesting. Let's take a look here at this species. Okay, so species details. They have a bunch of traits. They're sedentary. They're natural engineers. They're enduring, which means they live very longer. Garrisons, it means they're good at defending stuff. And actually, this species right here on this planet could be a very interesting little target for us to colonize. Because we could totally build armies and go full-on planetary destruction on them. Or, considering we're playing as the UNE, we could, for instance, uplift them and bring them into our society over a period of decades.
System survey
slowly
complete.
But steadily.
Anomaly found.
So,
situation log updated.
Like we've made first contact yet again. Ancient signs of life. So that is nice. It also would appear that some of my guys have found some aliens, and they are right over here. There we go. That is a desert world. So that's a species that is available for us to look at. So what we're going to do here is we are going to go to our situation log, and we are just going to set that as something that we can research. Now, if we research first contacts, it means that we can get more influence, which will allow us to expand quicker. Also, it looks like we have a hostile fleet over here. Okay, there we go. So first contact's been made. They are a theocratic monarchy. That means they are pacifists, spiritualists. We are very much delightful to meet them. And on top of that, we also found some other aliens. Those are some amoebas that are just floating around. They are, usually they float around, but they're not all that dangerous.
Incoming transmission.
We can kill them if we need to. Alright, it looks like we've got a non-aggression pact invitation. So these Palomi Xenos definitely want to hang out with us. So we're going to go and agree and have a non-aggression pact with them. But there is a small problem, however. And I will illustrate as such. So now we have surveyed this system. I want a frontier outpost here. Let's move our fleet. So, because if we do not expand here fast enough, we will lose the opportunity to claim these systems. Because we need to build outposts in order to claim systems. And that's exactly what we're currently doing. In the meantime, we've got these guys over here. So we can just communicate with them, say, hey, we want to guarantee your independence, we're in a defensive pact, yada yada. Like, there's a whole bunch of stuff that we can offer them. They are very receptive, actually, which is fascinating. So they like us a lot. Right now, they have a negative modifier on us because of a new contact, but that's gonna wean off after a while. They don't like our bombardment policy, so we can, for instance, go into our society and policy tab to change our bombardment policy to say light, and then they will most likely like us because they are in fact pacifists.
Situation log updated.
Let's take a look here. Okay, and they you go. Yeah, so our bombardment policy is now no longer a issue. In addition, it looks like we've yet made first contact again with the hippos, so we're going to go and take a look at those. It looks like those are, yeah, okay, so these are just alien vessels in space that we can't really do all that much with, so that is a little bit annoying, but still, hey, what can you do? Oh, wow, another size 22 continental world. That is crazy. That is crazy good. Okay.
Situation log updated.
So there's just random event chains that you can start off, and you can get resources for it and events, etc. So our ship has patrolled the area. It's found a bunch of systems that are interesting. So now it's sitting on the edge of the solar system. It's costing us resources. So what we're going to do is we're just going to move that fleet back to Earth in orbit of the planet, because a spaceship that is in orbit around a station that has a certain building, which this one sadly doesn't have, it will no longer cost as much money. So there's the space amoebas. We can do remote space amoeba studies.
Situation log updated.
Why do you want to do space amoeba studies, ASpec? Well, you can get some really cool stuff out of it, and basically it will increase evasion of your ships. So I always want to go for those. In the meantime, our technology is slowly but steadily progressing. We're still 32 months away from getting our solar panels, so it's going to take a little while. Oh, we found the first league. We recovered artifacts from an ancient civilization on PTRE-076. What we have learned from these artifacts is correct. Is basically the first
updated.
League. One of the better ones in the game, actually. Sadly enough, we're not playing on one of the newer builds, because then we could get an Ecumenopolis. But that's sadly not the world we live in. Okay, so our construction ship is in a good position. Let's click on the star, build a frontier outpost. And this frontier outpost basically means is that we are effectively claiming the area over here. Now later on, the only reason we're doing this right now, like this, some alien writing, is we could just go in and colonize the planet, but in that time these guys could send out a construction ship of their own and build an outpost of their own. Besides, we want to kind of isolate ourselves in this particular area and gain control. Later on, we will colonize this planet over here, or take these primitives, and then we can just dismantle the outpost. Now, an outpost will cost you 1 influence per month. So basically our influence will go down to +1 instead of the +2 that we have right now. But we can offset that in the later. Alien writing. Ooh, that's cool. So let's go and multi-select all of these guys. There we go. And finalize. Manage. And we will merge them together into one glorious fleet. There they are. And there we go. There are our Corvettes, just hanging out, no problem whatsoever, and they're just chilling. And it would appear that we finally have managed to get enough stuff for Unity. Now, Unity and traditions are basically a way to specialize your empire in a certain way. Like you can have an expansion specialization, domination, which is when you have vassals and stuff like that. Prosperity, which is arguably one of the better ones to go with at the start of the game. At least the starter option. Harmony, which is good for, well, defense and stuff like that. Supremacy, as it says, shoot stuff to win stuff. Diplomacy for alliances, and discovery for research. Now, for the sake of this one, in this very particular build, could be a little bit janky, so our very first one is going to be prosperity. Why am I going prosperity? Because of the mining station build cost reduction by 33%. Mining stations, ASpec. What are those? Well, we're going to be talking about those very shortly, once the construction ship over here is done doing its thing. In the meantime, as you can see in the Sol system, we have a lot of resources. 9 energy, 9 minerals,
Special
3 engineering technology. So what are we going to do with those? Well, we are not going to touch them for the moment. At least the science we're not going to touch. First of all, we're going to need to take a look at what kind of resources are available in system and take the ones with the highest number and colonize those first. And that in that particular case is Uranus. Now Uranus has 3 energy on it. That means that we can get a lot of energy from it for a relatively low investment. In the meantime, there's also like a bunch of 2s of minerals floating around, but that's not really all that great. So we want to be rather careful with those. Our science ships are just floating around, doing their thing. Okay, so you got you over here. I'm going to queue up some more orders for you to survey because I want to know what's going on nearby. Same thing for you. Okay, so you're surveying here still. That's good. And you're going to be surveying this one as well. So right now we're just looking around to survey and get resources. Alright, so let's take a look here. This system seems to be pretty decent in resources as well. +4 minerals. Again, we are not going to do anything about the technologies for the moment unless we very much need it. And it appears that our food stockpile is full. And that right there is a problem. It means, well, it's not so much a problem. Basically what that means is if our stockpile is full and we have a surplus, it means that our population will grow faster.
Complete.
However, this could potentially be an issue in the long run. So what we're going to be doing is we are going to go to the following. We're going to do our Society and Policies tab. And then close this. Set this to balance. This means our food storage capacity will be 1,000. So if we ever run into any food problems, we will have a longer gap to fix this. And that right there is rather important. Now our first outpost has come online, as you can see. Immediately we have only +1 influence because running an outpost does cost influence as well as money, actually. But it does mean that our construction ship is now free to go to Uranus and build a mining station. Now, a mining station only costs 37 minerals. Why does it only cost 37 minerals? Well, it is because we took the prosperity tradition, which reduces the station mining station build cost by a rather large amount. In addition, if we go to our government, right now our leader is a space miner, which basically means that we get it's a special trait for that leader. And basically means that we get another -25 space station cost modifier on this. So we can basically build stations incredibly rapidly for very, very cheap. And that's exactly what I would like. Ooh,
Situation log updated.
Satellite probes. Okay, that's a +3 over here. Are there any special things on this rock? No, there's a lot of tile blockers here. So
System survey complete.
Make a colony out of this. That is a bit of a shame. There's another one down here in the Sirius system. Oh, wow. It's another size 19 planets. What's up with all these massive planets everywhere? That's crazy. Now, one thing that we need to be careful of is... Yes, let's research this. If our borders are on the edge of another alien species, there's a chance that that alien species does not like that. And basically, we want to be very careful with that in general. So basically, what's going on here, there's something called border friction. The more borders you have with an alien species, the more a border friction will be generated. As you can see here on the top right, border friction is now
Anomaly found,
which does impact our opinion with this species. But overall, we're having a good relationship with these here peacocks, so that's nice. And it looks like we found an old mining station around Sirius 2. We can scrap it for materials, or we can get a mining station for +3 energy. And I do want to have +3 energy, because right now our economy is in a little bit of a crappy spot. And that right there, oh, it's +4 even. So that is good, because it already had a native +1 bonus on it. So now it is +4. Good. Now our construction ship is currently on his way to start setting up the energy base on Uranus. So that is good, so that will be taken care of. Plus, we're finding all of these old powered exoskeletons. Oh, our first technology is starting to kick through. So, powered exoskeletons, army damage, we don't really need that at the moment, but the minerals +5% is great. So what are we going to build next? Fusion missiles? Improve spaceport? Or robots?
Special project complete.
In fact, I'm going to go and build robots. Now, one thing that's important about robots. Our neighbors are spiritualists. Spiritualists are, in this particular case, even fanatic spiritualists. Spiritualists really do not like robots at all. So if we go full-on robots, all the way up to androids and synthetics, then these guys will at some point will try to declare war on us, if at least if they are given the opportunity. And that's something that we need to watch out for. But yeah, so the first expansion has been
Anomaly
done.
found.
We're building. We are getting ourselves some basic resources. It's all looking very strong. I think it is time for us to... Oh, we don't have the
Construction
resources for it
complete.
yet. That is a little bit annoying. But we have gotten our construction ship done now. Do we have any minerals anywhere that are +3 on a rock? Yes, you over here. I want to build a mining station on that. One thing that's really important is always make sure you get the high numbers first, especially with minerals, because space stations that mining stations do cost energy and upkeep, unless it's of course an energy station, but that's kind of obvious. You really want to be very careful about this and make sure that you generate resources from large amounts of local resources first. So for instance, this +3 over here is great. What is not great
System
is
survey
this
complete.
here +2. And in some cases you can even get +1. So you get 1 mineral for 1 energy instead of getting 3 minerals for 1 energy, etc. And in some cases you can go all the way up to 20, which is insane cost, insane cost scenario. So we have Sirius. Did I actually take a look at this rock? I think I did. Yeah, it's actually not bad. So we need to go and start thinking about our first colony ship, because obviously we want a colony in our empire somewhere. So we are going to go and find... I think it was under Society. Cosmography. Okay, we want to go to our expansion planner. So right now in our expansion planner, we have a bunch of planets that are interesting for us, and basically a bunch of resources on them. So for instance, Alpha Centauri's got a lot of food output. Sirius 3 has a lot of mineral output. Or maybe has even more. It's up to 11, but it has a bunch of tile blockers on it that we can't really deal with. Even though it's size 22, which is nice. And also it has a lot of society output. That is really nice. BHAM 5, 17... What is a good option here? I would say this one.
Situation log
for a bunch
updated.
of reasons. Mainly because of this special resource that is on this rock, which is Betharian Stone, which is rather nice. We don't have the resources yet to build a colony ship just yet, but soon we will. And also we have more influence now because of factions. So factions are a thing. Let's quickly pop over to our factions over here. So this is a faction. You can have multiples in an empire. And basically factions are groups of people within your empire. And basically they say, hey, can you do this? Can you do this? Can you do this? If you do so, we will be very happy and we will give you influence. In this particular case, they give us +2 because we have indirect xenology, which means that we don't actually interact with natives. We invite all refugees. Sadly, we haven't gotten diplomacy traditions. Outright invading primitive worlds will very much displease them. That's annoying. Federations and no purging. But overall, we're doing quite well here. There is a 63% happiness, which translates to a 2 bonus to influence, which allows us in the long term to do better stuff.
System survey.
All right, so remember how we went for prosperity and got the very first one? We are not actually going to go for the whole tree. We're going to go straight into discovery. Why do we want discovery? Because we want Planetary Survey Corps. Planetary Survey Corps allows us to basically get research points on the amount of stuff that we survey in space. Basically, it's free tech, and it's probably incredibly overpowered, and will probably be nerfed into the ground in a future version, just like how it happened on the PC, because, oh my god, is this overpowered. You definitely want to get it, because it is exceptionally good. Very, very strong. Alright, let's get some more surveying going on here. Being a little bit efficient about things is nice. You don't really need to do it. We have our construction ship is done. We could decide to build more minerals. So if we, for instance, build this one, it will cost us 37, so it would cost us 12 months to break even on the investment. Or we could go straight ahead and build a build a colony ship. Now, what is important here is that a colony ship does have an upkeep cost. Basically, it's 8 energy. Right now, we are only making +5. So once you're building your first colony ship, make sure that you have enough resources in your bank, or at least enough energy in your bank, in order to make sure that things go well. Almost there. We're almost 6 years into the game. It's almost like I've planned for this. Administrative AI, always go for that because of the flat research bonus. All the other ones do not matter as of right now. You definitely want to go for these basic ones as of right now. And we have another thing found in space. What an exciting time. Okay, let's pause the game and let's quickly pop over to cosmography. Go to the expansion planner, Namibia, Nyamba 3. And let's find a nice place for our initial drop site. Now, there's a lot of planetary blockers here, and it will be very expensive to clear all of these out. But in the long run, it will be worth it. It's a large planet. It has a lot of resources on it, a lot of technology stuff, a lot of energy, a lot of minerals. Betharian stone, which will gives us a ton of energy. However, one thing that is important to note is that these buildings, this reassembled ship shelter that we're about to put down, has a thing called a Adjacency bonus. This means that any tiles around it, this one, and this one, will get a bonus based on the availability of that building. So basically, they will get a +1. So this will turn into a +4, this will turn into a +3, this will turn into +3. But it doesn't work on science, it only works on base materials like minerals, energy, and food. So we're going to put it up in here. Let's give this place a reasonable name. Okay, there we go. And there we go. There it is. Excellent. Reasonable name. Excellent. And now our colony ship will be built over at Earth. As you can see, the little icon is there on the shipyard. There it is. It's currently being built. As you can see, it has a maintenance cost of 8.0, so we immediately want to make sure that our construction ship is going to be building some energy-based related stuff. So we can just move this over here, and there you go. So yeah, there it is. The first 6 years in space on console edition. Very exciting for people to see this for the very first time, I'm sure. We have quite a lot of stuff to learn here for console edition, obviously. For me, this is like putting on a pair of old, super comfortable shoes, because this is all stuff that I've done extensively in the past, and I hope that you will do as well and come to us with us on a journey of learning and understanding, and a little bit of love on the side as well. We're gonna go and wrap it up here. If this was useful to you, feel free to give it a like. Join the community below as well. We have a lot of stuff to talk about, and we will continue with more tutorials for both console edition and PC, as well as a various cacophony of other ridiculous content coming up in the near future. But in the meantime, we're going to go and wrap it up here. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, take good care of yourselves and, as always, each other.